Hello yogis and namaste. Welcome back to the yoga house. Today for this sequence we're going to be using 2 cork bricks a little bit later. So if you need to pause the video and just get yourself organized, maybe while you're at it get yourself a blanket for yoga nidra later, so that we're going to get into it and then you don't have any disturbances. So let's begin when you're ready, just sitting cross-legged with the hands on the thighs, closing our eyes, lifting the chest up and dropping the shoulder blades into the back. Let's engage Mula Bandha and Uddiyana Bandha and Ujjayi Pranayama. Let's bring the palms together into Anjali Mudra and we'll do our opening chant together. Taking a deep breath in to prepare. Vande Gurunam Charanarvinde Sandarshita Swatma Sukhavapode Nishreyase Jangalika Yamane Samsara Hala Hala Moha Shantye Abahu Purushakaram Shankachakrasi Darinam Sahasra Shirasam Shvetam Pranamami Patanjalim. Good, and releasing your hands down. Let's come forwards on our mat, tuck the toes under, and we'll gently come up to a standing position to prepare for Surya Namaskar, Sun Salutation A. I'll talk you through and do it with you. Inhale to rise up to Urdhva Namaskar. Exhale to forward fold, half lift and jump back into Chaturanga Dandasana. Take an inhale to peel up into Urdhva Mukha and exhaling into Adho Mukha. Let's hold here for 5 breaths. Inhaling 1. Exhaling. Inhaling 2. Exhaling. Inhaling 3, exhaling, in, X, in. On that X, we're looking and jumping forwards, half lift landing and folding in. Inhale to rise up, Samastitihi then on the exhale. Let's repeat. Inhaling Urdhva Namaskar. Exhaling to Uttanasana. Continue your exhale to Ardha Uttanasana. Jump yourself back to Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhaling to Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Exhaling to Adho Mukha Svanasana. 5 breaths. Of course, you can bend the knees here. So if you are more of a level 1 than a level 2, or if you're working into your mobility and you can straighten the legs while keeping the chest back, then work on going further, heels to the floor. Do what suits you at this time. Practice only for and from the present moment. On your final exhale in Adho Mukha Svanasana, look and jump forwards, landing in Ardha Uttanasana, folding into full Uttanasana. Rise up with dynamism and vigor into Urdhva Namaskar and exhale to Samastitihi. Let's go again. In, up, X, down, half lift, traveling to Chaturanga. In, up, X, down, and 5 breaths. So if you've been practicing for a while, that's no excuse to not go back to basics also. So remember, spreading your fingers and toes. Establish Hasta Bandha, press down through the hands. Pada Bandha, lift up through the inside arches of the feet. Mula Bandha, pelvic floor lifts. Uddiyana Bandha, lower abdominals draw up. Shoulder blades sinking down into the back, head is heavy. Lots of weight through those arms. And then as we exhale, spring forwards, landing in Ardha Uttanasana, folding to full Uttanasana. Inhale, rising up. Urdhva Namaskar. Exhale, Samasthiti. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, forward fold. Half lift, still on the exhale. Back to Chaturanga. Then inhale, Urdhva. Exhale, Adho. And you can walk the feet forwards always to adjust. Find the downward dog length that suits you, where you feel most supported. And through that support, safe enough to stretch more deeply. It's an important marriage of stability and mobility. I love downward dog. It's just one of the staples. So of course, if you prefer to stay there longer than 5 breaths, then please go for it. Pause this video or just go at your own pace. When ready though, we come forwards, folding in. Inhale to rise back up. And exhale down. Let's do 2 more. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. This is the exhale that we jump forwards on. And then inhale. Exhale. One last one. Inhale up, lots of energy. Exhale, firm the belly, fold, half lift, travel back to Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, pull the chest up. Exhale, pull the butt up. 5 breaths there. Keep improving. Never sit in complacency, even with a posture with which you are very familiar. Always get stronger. Always get more stretch. Always get more awareness, more attention, more yoga, union. We endeavour to align with our higher consciousness while we live in the physical body. What a paradox. What a trip, what a journey. This requires all of our attention. Let's come forwards, landing in our Ardha Uttanasana, folding into full Uttanasana. Deep inhale up and exhale, Samasthiti. So we're going to take our bricks. This is a really nice way just to get the energy flow slightly hyped up in the body, but in a good way, not in a depleting way, not in an overdoing way, just in a way that gets us nice and warm. And we're trying to get a sense of fluidity through areas of stiffness or blockages. So we're going to take 2 standard cork bricks. You might not even need the bricks. You might find that you can do this posture just on the fingertips. But I quite like the bricks because it gives me a little bit more levity, more space, and then I can push into something. And also if you're having any wrist issues, sometimes just this very stark angle on the wrist can be quite heavy going. So to grip the bricks gives you a good steady base, not so much pressure on the wrists. So I'm going to show you this first, and then I'm going to talk you through, and then I'm going to attempt the Olympic feat of talking you through and doing it with you. So firstly, this is what it looks like, right? What I'm doing is I'm dropping my butt into a lunge and working on lifting the chest, almost like a kind of a cat pose, Marjarasana. Then when I lift and jump, butt goes up, and then when I land on the feet, butt goes down, and I alternate and switch and switch. So the way I have the arms is that they are vertical. I'll move my body out of the way. That's better. So vertical arms, yeah? So you're trying to get this sense of, I'm grounded, like a plank arm almost. So let's begin. I'm going to try and speak and control my breath and do it at the same time. So pardon me if I am panting. Do what I say, not what I do. I'm going to tell you to regulate your breath so you don't pant, but I might end up panting by doing this. You understand the humanity of it. So let's do 20 each side and go 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, 8, 8. Arms aren't changing. Keep them vertical. 11, 11, 12, 12, 13, 13, 14, 14, 15, 15, 16, 16, 17, 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20, 20. Woo! Keep your hands on your bricks, pushing back into Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Control your breath. Inhaling, exhaling. Through the nose. Don't let yourself pant. So we know that the progression goes. It's difficult to master the body, but we start to make progress. It's a little bit more difficult to master the breath, but we start to make progress. It's even more difficult to master the mind, but we start to make progress. You get the picture. So with practice, we can get better at it. Doesn't mean it makes it easier, but it means we're getting better at it. And that's always good. Control the breath. Good. So from here, we're just going to walk the feet forwards and start to weight bear now through the feet a little bit. And then we're going to just take one brick to the side and take the other brick up with us. So we're going to come into a version of Ardha Chandrasana or half moon pose. We're going to do this with a wall support. So set yourself up so that you have a wall behind you. And I'm just going to show you from the front first. Don't join me just yet. I want to set up so you can see. I'm going to mirror you here. So the right foot is forwards. The brick is going to be out diagonally in line with that right pinky toe. And far enough, so the distance is so that when you reach over and you bring that vertical arm into play like we had in our last dynamic exercise, that you've got room for the spine, meaning you're not kind of hunched like this, right? So you're out sufficiently far enough to give yourself that lovely space. And then we're going to lift up the back leg. Now, you can't quite see. Yeah, you see my toes there sticking out to the side. So the alignment of the feet is heel to instep, exactly as you'd be for Trikko A or for Vira 2. And then we lift that top arm up and look up to it. Okay, I'm just going to quickly show you from the side. So I'm not going to use the wall for this because there isn't a wall behind me when I turn this way, but I'll just give you an idea of what it should look like. So we're lifting up, again it's heel to instep alignment. Keep that leg about at hip height rather, and then you're looking up from there. Dorsiflex the lifted foot. So let's do it together. Choosing either freestanding in your own practice or wall in your own practice, but today we're going to do wall together, just so we get that alignment correct and you can bring that through as a lovely transferable skill in your practice. Right leg is vertical, meaning perpendicular to the ground, parallel to the wall beside you, provided you have a set of straight walls and you're not living in a little hobbity house. Draw the front ribs back and start to extend the left arm up and to the drishti. Focal point, up to that thumb. Now press into this lifted leg. The purpose of the wall here is not necessarily to help us with our balance, because you guys are practiced enough that you can balance, but to actually push into the leg, to bring strength to the leg that's stretching up. We already have strength in the base leg, no doubt, right? It's weight bearing. Keep the breath deep, looking up. Last breath here, inhale, and then in the exhale, just slowly bend both legs and float out of it. We come back up, just give the legs a little shake out, and then we go to the other side. So your brick is to the left side diagonally of your left foot, in line with the pinky toe, out to the side. So this arm and this brick act almost like little stabilizers to help you to balance. It's a little bit easier. And then we're lifting that top leg up. The lifted toes, right? So if your right leg is up, your toes are facing directly out to the right. So if I were to bring that leg down, for example, and bring the feet together, you can see it's heel to instep alignment. Third position for the ballerinas among you. Lifting up. And then we lift up with the arm also, and the drishti. Keep your breathing steady, inhale. Exhale. Good. Keeping both legs super straight, super strong. Engage your glutes. Engage your bandhas. Keep your mental focus switched on. Reach. Nothing floppy. 2 more breaths. And then bend both knees, slowly coming out of it and come back up, and we're going to use both bricks. So with Ardha Chandrasana, you're stacking one hip on top of the other. You have felt that. This posture that we're about to come into is a modified version of Vira Trini, or Warrior 3. So with Warrior, again, with Warrior 3, we're usually balancing, right? So we do this freestanding. And I would advise you practice that too in your home practice. But just for this sequence, we're going to use the wall again so we can work on correct alignment. Now, with the Warrior 3 pose, I'll show you again from the side. What we're actually looking for here is not to stack the hips like we did in Ardha Chandrasana. We're looking this time to stabilize the hips and keep them on the same horizontal plane. I'll show you the distinction with the vertical plane. So when we opened up into Ardha Chandrasana, we're stacking one hip on top of the other vertically. For this, we're aligning the hips beside each other horizontally. So you've often heard it said that if you're doing this correctly in correct alignment, you're able to balance a tray of precious, expensive wines on your sacrum without letting that wobble. The lifted leg, I want to dorsiflex it. This just gives me more power to internally rotate. This feeds into keeping me stable here through my pelvis. And I'm looking forwards. So you can join me now. The right leg is the weight bearer. The left leg is the lifter. Extend forward. So top in so you can see. I'm trying to keep myself as straight and long as possible. Squeeze the shoulder blades down the back. If your neck hurts, angle the head down slightly so your drishti is more in front of the bricks rather than in the wall ahead. Arms are straight, everything's straight. Back, arms, legs. Good, and we release, and let's go to the other side, lifting up. Internally rotate, so don't let your toes go out to the side like in Ardha Chandrasana. Keep the toes facing down. Good. Long straight line if possible. Obviously the glutes, there's going to be a little bump there for the musculature, but you want your skeleton to be as aligned as possible. Engage your glutes strongly. Don't let yourself swing out into that supporting leg. Keep your supporting leg vertical. Spread your toes. Extend through the heart, through the neck, through the breath itself. Everything extended. Support that extension with strong bandha action, strong mental focus. Nourishing breathing. One more breath here. Inhale. And exhale. Good. And coming back down. Good. So, if you're freestanding with Warrior 3, you're going to be extending the arms forwards. With the help of the bricks, you've got that extra balance. Now we're going to do the same thing with the wall, right? So we're going to lift the left leg up and weight bear on the right foot. So same exact posture that we've done, but we're going to make sure as best we can that this time we make it into more of a strength exercise. So you're going to push into the wall with that lifted leg. I know it looks as if I only have one leg, but I assure you it's there. There it is. So just lifting it up directly behind you. Again, you're keeping the hips as steady as possible. Toes are facing down, right? So lifted toes are facing down, grounded toes are facing forwards. Tummy strong. You can kind of play with this, right? Provided you're not kind of rocking all over the place by lifting that arm, you can play with this. And if you're relatively new to the practice, it's quite tricky. So just keep using the bricks if you need to, and if you want to play with lifting that right hand, then do. Press into the wall. Press into the wall so much so that if you wanted to, you could get really light and even lift that base leg. And then we switch. Feet together, that's the alignment. Then you lift the other one up directly. So you can see a slight discrepancy here, and that's because my camera is fisheye. So the alignment is still good. It's just the camera angle is curved, you see. You see that on the floor. If looking forwards hurts your neck, please don't hurt your neck. Look down instead. Squeeze your shoulder blades back, push into the wall, nice and strong. Toes facing down. Maybe try lifting a hand or two. Good, and releasing down. So there's two approaches for your Warrior 3 practice, using the wall and or using the hands. So you take the balancing element out of it and you can work on the strength just to get lots of energy through the body. So we'll just place those to the side for now. And then from there, we're going to come into a version of Uttanasana or extended forward bend with Baddha-Asana. So a lot of you will be quite familiar with this bind, with this Baddha from Prasarita Padottanasana C. We're going to go into something like that, except instead of having the Pado legs, instead of having the wide legs, we're going to have the feet hip distance apart. Taking an inhale, having interlace of fingers, open your chest, and then exhale to fold forwards. Let me demo that from the side. So exhale to fold forwards, bring weight into the toes, and then we're just going to let the back round slightly and start to bring the arms up and over. So we're going to breathe here for 5 deep breaths. I'll return to it from the front. Going to keep the heels of the hands apart for this one, just to avoid any hyperextension through the elbows. Weight is in the toes, and we sort of drape the rib cage over the thighs. Drop your head nice and heavily towards the floor through space, and then the arms will follow, but don't force them, don't bounce them. We're not going to try and get them onto the floor for this particular version. Now to come out, we're going to bend the knees. Take the rib cage to the thighs. Reach forwards into Balavasana, my favorite, bear pose. Keep your ribs on your thighs. Arms by the ears. Now lifting up with the chest. Good. Extend through the arms. Walk your feet together. Exhale the arms back down. Now we're going to come into Surya Namaskar B. So from here, inhale, bend the knees, arms all the way up, Utkatasana. Exhale, forward fold. Keep exhaling, Ardha Uttanasana. Travel back to Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Right leg forwards once your feet are steady. Inhale, Vira 1. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha. Exhale, Adho Mukha. Left leg forward. Inhale, Vira 1. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha. Exhale, Adho Mukha, and 5 breaths. The beauty of symmetry here, guys. So we get a chance for a clean slate, having done those Warrior 3s and Ardha Chandrasanas. Like a palate cleanser. Get back to equilibrium or Samasthiti through the legs, through the hands, through the feet, through the arms. One more breath here in this beautiful pose. Exhale, look forwards, travel forwards, landing in Ardha Uttanasana, folding into Uttanasana, still on the same exhale, and then inhale, Utkatasana. Exhale. Let's do one more. Inhale, Utkatasana, exhale, Uttanasana. I'm not a sadist, I swear. Half lift, back to Chaturanga. Inhale, Urdhva. Exhale, Adho. Inhale, Vira. Exhale, Chaturanga. Inhale, Urdhva. Exhale, Adho. Inhale, Vira. Exhale, Chaturanga. Inhale, Urdhva. Exhale, Adho. 5 breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale and exhale. Really nice. So we're going to come into backwards prayer position. I'll show you from the back. It's easier. Inhale, arms up. Exhale. Take your hands behind you into prayer position. If that's not possible, guys, that's okay. Please modify. Take the fingertips and thumb tips together. Slide the hands down further towards or onto the sacrum. Or, if that's not possible, you take hold of your elbows. Whichever you choose, you're going to get a really good thoracic opening, and that's what we want in this pose. Very similar to Baddha earlier. So, from here, I'll show you from the side. So, inhaling, we lift the chest, and exhale, we fold. Now this time, with the presence of the hands at the back, we're going to keep the back straight, so don't round. Just go down as far as you can while your back is relatively straight. Breathing there. Your drishti is on the floor in front of you. Squeeze the roots of the fingers together. Lift the elbows towards each other and the ceiling. Firm up through Mula Bandha. Inhale to come all the way back up. And exhale, bend the knees, release the arms. Good. And just shake the arms out a little bit. It's quite strong in the wrists. So let's do a little counter Slowly, backs of the hands together, rotate through the thumbs, backs of the hands, through the pinkies, through the palms, through the thumbs, through the backs, through the pinkies, through the thumbs. And keep going like that until you feel like doing imaginary piano, and then shake them again. Good. Okay, so we're going to do a nice little mini sequence to help us with our hip mobility. But as a prep for that, we're going to go into gecko, and it's all forms of lunges, and all lunges are forms of warrior. So it's in keeping with raising the energy and getting our strength. So I'm going to come into this version of gecko. I'll show you from the side first. So I'm going to drop down. You can see I'm just checking myself on the monitor there. Yeah, you can see that the hips are lower than the front knee. So that's what I want, that's what I'm aiming for. So not a lunge like this. It's a different thing and for a different purpose. So we're down here. I like to tuck the back leg under, the back foot rather. Yogi's choice. You can be plantar flexed if you prefer. I like this because it protects my knee, which is a dodgy one, this one. And also it gives me the feeling of being a little bit more alive throughout the whole posture. The front shin is vertical, and then I'm going to take the hands down. Now I have the option to stay here should I wish, or if I want to I can come down onto one elbow or both elbows. So you find where you can be, and then you draw either the hands if they're grounded or the forearms if they're grounded back, so you can get the chest forwards. And let's breathe here for 5 breaths. The back sort of hunches a little bit, so try to keep strong in the front body. And keep grounded in the shoulders, as in don't let them unhook from your back into your ears, pull them down towards the bum. Good. We're going to come up, switch sides, walk through a little mini paddle. And then we come down into the lunge again. Get that front shin vertical, drop the hips lower than the front knee, and then we walk down onto an elbow or two, if it's possible. Then you can see I'm kind of rounded in the back, so I'm going to drop the back, so it's a little bit lower than this thigh, if possible, right? Ask your body, don't force it. Draw the arms back as if you're trying to slide them along the mat, and this will aid our extension capacity through that lovely spine. Again, with all of these poses, the drishti tends to be forwards. It doesn't have to be in the wall ahead of you or up, because that's very cranky in the neck. So you can just angle the head. The drishti is still going to be forwards, but you're not compressing. Okay, and we're just going to come through a little pado, kind of a respite. Just hands here. Now, just hold here so that I'm in view and you can kind of hear me as well. And I'm going to show you the next posture. This is a side lunge. So as I said, all lunges are kind of coming from warrior. And all of those warrior poses are about bringing lots of strength and vibrancy. You're kind of bouncing like a tiger. You're super strong, but you can be sleek at the same time. So there's this beautiful harmonization of lots of stability, lots of mobility simultaneously. My foot is grounded. The foot of the bent leg is grounded, meaning, you know, all 5 toes, heel down, inner arch lifted, pinky toe side of the foot is grounded. This straight leg is externally rotated, toes facing up. And then hands can come into namaste. We kind of need it. Or if that's too much, the hands can be on the floor, of course, right? So go to where you can go to. So joining me now, if you haven't already, in this side lunge. If you can, of course, you know, an option is to come down onto the bum, but I just want us to lift, because what I want is to use the weight of our own pelvis to aid that stretch through the straight leg and aid that mobility through the hip of the bent leg. Good, and then we take the hands down, we come into that little sort of palate cleaning version into pado, and then over to the other side. And then this foot, the foot of the bent leg, is grounded. And then this leg is nice and straight. And we take the palms into Namaste, or prayer position, or Anjali Mudra. This foot is active though, guys, so keep it really flexing. If you can't come down too far, that's okay. You might be here, right? Provided in a lunge and in a squat, in all good lunges and squats, your butt should be lower down than your chest. That's a pretty much general rule of thumb there. Good. Let's take the hands to the floor, come up into that little Pado respite. Arms are vertical. So there's this real sense of kind of trying to find this place in the middle where you are really, really centered. I'm just trying to center myself in the camera. There. So where you're really, really centered, and finding that sense of, I get out of the lunge. And even though the lunges are good, it's very good to counter them and to just stretch bits that have been flexing. We know that from our vinyasas. You do a down dog after an up dog. It's classic. So we're going to turn that into a little mini sequence. So I'm going to mirror you. Join me in gecko on the right side. So right leg forwards. Hands are to the inside of that right foot. We drop down onto the forearms. Let's hold here for 2 breaths. 1, 2. Right, we lift that back leg, come up onto the hands, externally rotate that left leg, and we're sitting into a bent right leg for our side lunge. Up into Pado. Prasarita Padasana, feet parallel, and then guess where we're going? To the other side. Externally rotate that right leg, you're sitting into the left leg, you're in your side lunge. We rotate internally with that right leg, so now we can come into our gecko position on the left side. See what's happening? It's taking shape. And then that knee comes down, drop into the hips. Just 2 breaths here, so we're nearly there. And now we go the other way. So we turn into our side lunge. Let's try and stay low and sleek. Hands to floor. Prasarita Padasana. Side lunge on the other side. Keep the breath deep. Hands to prayer. Now hopefully after all of those Surya Namaskars and our forward bends and our warriors, Ardha Chandrasana, and having done this now, you should be feeling a little bit warmer. And we're going to go into it again, both sides. So just to finish this side off, we're going to come back into gecko. We're going to end up here in this very place when we're finished again. So from there, walk the hands, rotate, side lunge. Prasarita Padasana, a variation. You know where we're going, side lunge. To gecko. Knee comes down. Last time, side lunge on this side. Paddle. Side lunge. Hopefully you're feeling, you can get down a little bit lower each time, feeling a bit more mobile, and rotate into our gecko. Good, and let's Vinny it. So taking the hands to the floor, stepping back into Palakasana, inhale. Exhale, lower down, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale to scoop up into Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. And exhale into Adho Mukha Svanasana. Again, we find that beautiful symmetry in the old familiar downward dog. 3 more breaths. And then from there, we're just going to jump forwards into a little squat and come to sit from there. Let's take our bricks again. We're going to take one brick at its skinniest setting in between the thighs, and then the other brick. So if you're like me and you're quite bulky and you're quite round, you'll need, very little structure between your legs will be touching. But if you're very, very lean, you might find that the brick is too thick. And if that's the case, you could use something like, maybe, not everyone has a gong and a singing bowl, so you could use something like maybe your lip balm, and you could press in between the calf muscles, right? So you find what's right for you. So you might find that you take a brick to its side and another brick to its other side. You might need a lot of width there. It just depends on your structure. There's no right or wrong. This is just what works for you and your bricks. And again, from prop to prop, the measurements vary. So you find what's right for you. And then press into the brick with the thighs. Press into the other brick with the calf muscles. Dorsiflex the feet. Push your heels forwards. Inhale, rise up. Take the palms together, cross the thumbs, and we twist. So as you twist, the more you find that twist, press more into your bricks. More. Press. It should be quivering in the legs. The reason for this is to really rise energy into the body, but also to support ourselves. Everybody thinks about standing poses as the leg strengtheners and seated poses as the more flexibility driven things. But actually, if you really, really strengthen your legs in a seated pose, you can go further with the upper body. That levity is there. Inhale back to center, recross the thumbs in the opposite way and twist. Do not lose the pressure. Try to compress those blocks. Lift up. So the level of strength you're adding to your legs is fueling your capacity to lengthen through the spine. Good. Inhale back to center. Exhale, releasing down. Well done. Okay, so from there, we're going to come into full Purvattanasana or backwards plank. So for some of you, I would advise to just modify. Keep the legs apart, keep the knees bent, and if you're coming into modified Purvattanasana, it will look something like this. Fingers facing in towards the heels, same wiggling my fingers there, fingers facing in, and then you're looking forwards, right? To do the full pose, we're gonna take the legs into plantar flexion, so pointing, ballerina style, yeah. Legs are straight and together. Now I want you to try to imagine that your bricks are still there. Even though the legs are now together, you're gonna press in with as much force as you did with the bricks. So that translates as a minor internal rotation through the legs there. Arms are back, only as far as you can take them while you're still on the fronts of the sit bones. Opening through the chest, we lift up, and then the drishti goes to the ceiling. Now squeeze the shoulder blades down the back. 5 breaths here. 1, 2, 3. Toes to floor, but not by bending the knees, by lifting the pelvis. And 5. Good, guys, excellent. And coming back down there, and we're going to take a little Vinny. So, if you wish, you can use the bricks, and it just gives you a little lift. Bricks either side, lift up, jump back to Chaturanga. Inhale to Urdhva. Look at that freedom, that space. Exhale to Adho, and we just jump forwards into our plank, into our seated version. So from there, take your bricks out of the way, and we're going to come into Adho Mukha Svanasana with a shoulder shrug. Let me show you from the front so you can figure out what I'm on about. With the shoulder shrug, we're working into bringing lots of nice oxygenated blood around the shoulders, which are often the culprits of stiffness and tension. So we're trying to get them warmed up a little bit. Obviously, we would never hold a shrug in an asana practice, but when we're making it dynamic and coming in and out of it, it's a really good way of exercising the area. So with downward dog, the shrug is going to look something like this. Inhale, shoulders to ears. Exhale, shoulders down the back. In, X, in, X. Right, and then the next one is from Palakasana. We're going to do the exact same thing in plank. In, X, right? And the next one is from Adho Mukha Vrikshasana or handstand, but we're just going to do a half handstand. So you're not walking your feet all the way up the wall, you're just walking them halfway up the wall, and then we're going to shrug up, down, up, down, up, down. Right, so that's our finishing sequence. So let's come into Adho Mukha Svanasana. Spread your fingers wide. Remember, come back to basics. Even if you've been practicing for a year, come back to basics. Lifting the bum up. Knees can be bent. It depends on which version you prefer. And then we shrug in, X, in, X, in, X, in, X. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Shifting forwards into Palakasana. 10 shrugs. 1, 2, 3, a little faster. 4, 5, good. 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Very good. And let's come into our half handstand. So you need a wall for this, or a very intelligent robot, or a friend. So from there, lifting up, feet to the wall, hip distance apart, shrug. 1, 2, arms are straight. 4, 5, 6, breathe. 9, 10, and slowly coming down. Let's do Balasana, child's pose. Hands out in front, butt to the heels. You can let your elbows come down, let your head come down. And just breathe easy there for 5 breaths. Or for longer, if you want to pause the video, for sure. Pause the video. Good, guys. And when you're ready, we come into one final vinyasa. Now you have the option for the last time, if you wish, to take the bricks. If you're just a little bit more towards level 2 or 3, then for sure take your bricks and just work on jumping through symmetrically. So I'm just walking back in case I break the microphone. So from there, you're in Palakasana, lower down to Chaturanga, scooping up into Urdhva Mukha, into Adho Mukha, and then jumping through to sit, legs straight. Take your blankets, guys. If you're practicing at night, turn off the lights. If you're practicing during the day, close your curtains or use an eye bag. Take your blanket. Lying in Shavasana. Making any final adjustments you need to so that you can absolutely relax, truly, truly relax. And if at any stage you want to pause the video and just stay in relaxation without the disturbance of my voice, if you have a golden opportunity where everybody who usually wants things from you is not around, or they don't know you're there, then just let yourself go into a longer nidra. Let yourself fall asleep afterwards if you wish, right? So you have that option.
And so once you're steady and settled, let's begin. So once you have got all the fidgeting out of the way, once you feel, yeah, I'm here, I'm comfy, allow your eyes to close. Bring your mind into a clear focus. We are repurposing the mind now. And so we were using it for the last wee while to concentrate on asana or yoga posture instruction. Now we're using it to find our inner clarity, our inner peace, and access the part of us that ordinarily gets covered over by the fussiness of our everyday. Just making sure that there's a sense of letting go straight away. So if that means for you, you need to do a big yawn. You need to take a couple of giant breaths. You want to clench the whole body and then release it, whatever works for you. Bring your awareness now completely to the back of your body, the back of your head, the back of your neck. Feel that softness there. Just exhale, release it. Let your head get heavier, the floor can take it, and then your neck can be released. Of its tension. Shoulder blades are grounded, arms are heavy. Sacrum is grounded, legs are heavy. The breath is now completely passive, totally resting. Often after an energizing practice, having breathed so deeply, so consistently, we experience in Yoga Nidra that the breath is almost non-existent. It's most definitely noiseless and very light, because the body has been stocked up with lots of oxygen. And so if that's happening, that is absolutely correct. But I'd like you to observe and discern the difference between a very passive, restful breath and a breath that you might be holding because of tension. And so because this sequence is geared to people who've been practicing for a little while, you'll already know how to do that. You'll be familiar with the investigation into whether or not there is tension there. And if there is, set the intention to start to release it. Please excuse my rumbling belly. And so bring your awareness now to the skin on your face. See if you can perceive the touch of the air on that skin. Be aware of the fact that when we are lying in a supine position or on our backs, the skin can very gently stretch because of gravity, and there's a sense of being open and receptive in the face instead of frowning or stressed. So allow gravity to do its thing. Space is happening between the eyebrows. The cheeks are surrendering towards the ears. There's a gentle smile. The eyeballs are allowed to almost recede into their sockets. And we start to feel, as the face relaxes, there is a corresponding response down through the front of the body. Spaciousness is increasing across the front of the chest. Ease and softness across the front of the belly. A switching off or a holiday in the inner thighs and the groin. And there's a refreshing element to Yoga Nidra, particularly when it's done in Shavasana, in this position, where all of the hunchiness and the hardness and the stress of forward motion, lifting things, playing instruments, being on the computer, etc., can be countered. We can start to open in those closed areas, finally free of that hunch, where we pour ourselves over something with such focus that we forget how to hold our bodies in health and alignment. And so for this portion of our practice, we are realigning, pressing a reset button, as they say. And I like to imagine in Shavasana that my bones are traveling away from each other as a response to the fluidity of my relaxing muscles. And you can go a step further if you're a visual person and imagine that all of the tissue around the bones is just pure oily liquid. And as we lie here, we spread and the bones travel away. No effort. Just melting into the present moment, taking advantage of these rare, beautiful moments of rest, rehabilitation, and restoration. At this point, we approach our Sankalpa practice. Say something beautiful to yourself. A promise that you will make good on for yourself. A pledge that with attention and care and practice will come to fruition. A phrase, a mantra, an intention, a wish, a goal. Say it to yourself now 3 times. Say it from who you are to who you are. Full honesty, full transparency, no trickery, and completely private. Repeating your Sankalpa now 3 times. So as I suggested earlier, if you'd like to stay resting, press pause now. If you'd like to come out of the practice of Yoga Nidra and enter into either the rest of your day or into your bed, then begin to very slowly deepen your breath. Very slowly move your body. Very slowly come up to a seated cross-legged position. Take your hands to your hips. Encourage the sit bones down to the ground. Take the hands to the waist. Lift your rib cage up from that point. Take the hands into Anjali Mudra. Drop the shoulder blades into the back. And let's conclude with our chant together. Take a deep breath in to prepare. Swasti prajabhyaha paripalayantam nyayena margena mahi mahishaha Gobrahmanebhyaha shuhamastu nityam loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. And our finishing mudra, inhaling the arms up. Exhaling down through the center line of the body from Sahasrara Chakra to Agni Chakra to Vishuddha Chakra to Anahata Chakra. Coming forwards and coming back up. Namaste to you all. Thank you everybody. I hope that enriches your practice. Take care.